Okay, girls, we're going to start a study on the 10 Commandments of dating. I know you guys aren't really dating, but you might be interested in boys. Boys might be interested in you. So this is a book that was recommended by Kelsey and Thomas. Both of them have been through this book. Thomas threw the book at us. He said we should have given it to him sooner. Okay? Alrighty then. So what do you think we're going to study about?
What does right to know in a relationship?
What it looks like in a relationship? I think so. Anybody else? Well, I'll give you an outline of the book. We're going to learn about the 10 Commandments. 1 is thou shalt get a life. 2, thou shalt use your brain. 3, thou shalt be equally yoked. 4, thou shalt take it slow. 5, thou shalt set clear boundaries. 6, thou shalt save sex for later. 7, thou shalt not play house. 8, thou shalt fight fairly. 9, thou shalt not ignore warning signs. 10, thou shalt choose wisely. And then an appendix to Commandment 10, a word to the wise about where and how you are choosing. And then conclusion, thou shalt take action. Any of those commandments pique an interest in any of you guys?
The first one it's funny.
It is funny, isn't it? You know the one I was thinking of? Because we saw a commercial last night on TV. It's the appendix to Commandment 10, a word to the wise about where and how you're choosing. They now have a TV series about people that are marrying people that are in prison they've never met. So, would it be wise to maybe choose somebody that's behind bars?
No.
May not. That also probably could go to thou shalt use your brain. So you like to get a life one. Well, that's good because that's the one we're going to start on today. Y'all let me know when y'all have that copied and then we'll go to the next one. What's the purpose? Why do you think we're even bothering to do this? No guess? That's why I would even bother to go through this?
So we make the right decisions.
Hopefully help you make right decisions. One thing we're going to do is try to give you 10 time-tested relationship laws to protect you from the pitfalls of dating and increase your odds of successful dating. Because you could get out there and get in a big mess. You could end up dating somebody who's crazy. You could date somebody who's just not right for you. The other thing is to give you some practical, no-nonsense commandments. And these are solid truths. They're based on the Bible. They're solid truths. And I think I've been redundant here, but to protect you from dating pitfalls here. So let's talk about some attitudes about dating. There's one that's called moral relativism, and that's a great big word. And basically, that is what's right for you. You kind of get to decide what's right for you. I get to decide what's right for me. We're not really basing it on anything solid. And are there any absolutes? Are there anything that is absolutely wrong? Or can you forgive this person that you're dating because, it's okay. I might be able to change this person. There's not anything absolute. And tolerance. We hear a lot in the media about tolerating, tolerance. Well, we all got to love everybody. What did Jesus do when he went in the temple and he saw people selling things in his house and making profits in his house? Do you know? Was Jesus tolerant? And he said, you know, they need to make money. It's okay. Papa, what did he do?
Kick some butt.
He did. He threw the tables over, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And he
Turned
yelled.
all their birds loose and their animals loose.
And he told them, get out of here. You're
They
making...
had him on the 5 o'clock news.
They did. They said, he said, you've turned my house into a den of thieves.
He wasn't very tolerant.
And then we have a lot of mysteries about relationships. If you watch the Hallmark Channel, they say, follow your heart. And it's all about this ooey feeling that you have, and everything's going to turn out great because you have these tingly feelings. Papa doesn't tingle. Okay. And then hoping for the best. Well, it'll work out. I'm just going to hope for the best. How does that work for people most of the time?
It does not turn out well.
It does not turn out well. And I need to take that one out. Okay, so let's start in to thou shalt get a life.
Your screen fell.
My screen did fall. Commandment 1. First, we're going to talk about the unlife.
We've talked about this before.
We have. What is the unlife? Well, let's look at some common symptoms of the unlife. They're known as the 4 deadly D's. In the
Dudley,
unlife,
Dodger. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not right. Dylan.
in the unlife, we have desperation. We have dependence. You might want to get these down. You might just write the unlife, desperation, dependence, depression and loneliness, and detachment. So those are the 4 symptoms. Common symptoms. There's other symptoms, but these are the most common. We're going to talk about each one of these.
If this doesn't work the way we want it to, we'll get you a lapel, a wireless lapel.
When we think, you got it, Scholar?
Yeah, almost.
Okay. When we think about somebody being desperate or having desperation, what do we think of if we think of something's desperate?
They really need it. Or,
They're really needy, aren't they?
yeah.
Gotta have it, I'm desperate. Well, it's kind of like that in dating. A desperate person feels like, I must have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. Just gotta have them. Well, let me tell you about desperation. It produces perspiration. And what do? Y'all use deodorant to keep the perspiration around. But if you're desperate, you produce perspiration, and perspiration stinks on anybody.
We got some desperate grandkids. Because they stink.
Look at this guy. Does he look desperate?
Yes.
You think he has to have her?
Yes.
I don't think he has to,
Well,
but
probably
he
not, but
He thinks it
He's
though,
like,
doesn't he?
who's gonna cook me dinner?
Don't leave me. So he's pretty desperate.
I won't find nobody else.
No, you're my only hope. So he's pretty desperate.
Don't take the dog.
Then you have the person who's dependence. When we think about somebody being dependent on somebody else, what does that mean?
they
Can I have a pencil?
You have dependent people in classes, don't you?
Yes.
you have to count on them for a lot of stuff.
They count on them for a lot of stuff. So this kind of person is, I must be attached to someone to feel good. They look to somebody else to tell them they're okay. If you don't tell me I'm okay, then I feel awful. This dependent person or dependent dates have difficulty making decisions and taking responsibility for their lives and their own decisions. Dependent daters suck the lifeblood out of the other person. Now, this can go in a couple of ways. A lot of times people who are dependent on somebody else, they've set themselves up to be in an abusive relationship. The other person wants away from them. They hit them. They call them ugly names. It sets themselves up to be abused. On the flip side of that, the dependent person is sucking the lifeblood out of this person. It's like this guy can't do anything because this girl is just, she needs him. She has to be attached to him, feel good. If she doesn't have him, she feels like she's nothing. Then there's depression and loneliness. What does depression and loneliness come to mind?
Sad.
Sad. They're kind of a sad person, aren't they? Yeah. It's like, I must have someone to be happy. This begins a downward spiral, because if they don't have someone, then they feel depressed and they withdraw. It's like, nobody loves me. I don't have anybody who cares about me. Anybody y'all know anybody like that?
Yes.
And it drives you crazy. What does it do? It pushes other people away, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to be around somebody like that. And which makes them more depressed and more lonely. And then they become detached. And somebody who's detached, how does that come out?
Not good.
Yeah.
They become isolated, withdrawn, and lonely. They withdraw from life. And they kind of make you think of this little girl or boy, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They're just you kind of see them off to themselves at school. Nobody's eating lunch with them.
He stood at the window and went.
So how do you cope with the unlife?
You get a life.
Well, that would be the best way to cope with it.
You help them to realize that they don't need anyone.
And that would be what you would do. But people who are coping with the unlife, they tend to turn to media to cope with the isolation. They often turn with the unlife, they turn to TV, radio, video games, or internet. And this is the kind of person you see, they're hooked up to some type of media and they don't see anybody or anything else. They have an unlife. So, if you don't have a life, what do you need to get?
A life.
So how to get a life?
You need to be independent.
You need to be independent,
Yeah.
undetached, not lonely, kind of the opposite.
Yes.
Okay, Lainey's copying this right here. You ready? All right, how to get a life. The antidote, now you need to copy this down. The antidote is through the 5 G's. The first thing you do is you get grounded. You get grouped. You get goal-oriented. You get giving. And you get growing. And I don't mean physically growing. You girls eat enough for that.
And I know get grounded doesn't mean actually get grounded because we've talked about that.
Right. It's not like being grounded at home. You're not allowed to breathe for the next 2 weeks. No, that's not what it's about. Does this help better than the book?
Yes.
You like this better?
anybody that sits around on their phone all the time, do you? No. Text messages each other when they're sitting right next to each other in the car.
That's so you don't know what they're saying. You got this?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're on a group chat with Emma, and it's funny.
All right, here we go.
No,
get-
you're talking to each other.
To get grounded, it's about having a solid identity and sense of self. That means to value your own self-worth. And it can't be shattered because somebody walks by and says, well, that's an ugly shirt you got on today. And we know people that if you were to say something like that, or what happened to your hair today, they would just totally fall apart. Y'all know somebody like that? Okay. What get grounded means, it's about the internals, not the externals. So what do I mean when I'm talking about internal, not external?
Your personality.
Personality, that's part of it. What else?
Your mindset, like you know how to handle a certain situation or
Okay. It's also talking about your relationship with God. Because if you got a good, solid internal relationship with God, the externals are not that important. Everybody has something they don't like about themselves. Whether it's they feel like they're too thin, they feel like they're too fat, they feel like they're too tall, they're too short, they're too something. Their hair's not right, their face is not right. Everybody has something that they feel on the external. And they're basing their worth on what the media or television says. You know, what does TV tell you? You have to be thin. Your hair has to be great. You have to have this. You have to have that to be beautiful.
blonde hair, blue eyes, skinny.
Blonde hair, blue eyes. You do get a lot of that. But I've seen some beautiful brown hair, brown-eyed people. I've seen some beautiful red hair, brown or green-eyed people. So the media is trying to tell us, but that's not what the Bible tells us, is it? Your worth is based on being an image of God. So if I'm talking about being in the image of God, what kind of person would I be?
Faithful, loyal,
Do what?
faithful. loyal.
Faithful? Would I be studying God's Word? How would I act to others?
Kind.
But would I go along with something I know is not right?
No.
No, I would not. I would follow what I know I need to follow, wouldn't I? Yeah. Like Jesus threw those people out of the temple.
Yeah.
The other thing I would do is get grouped. So I would get connected with others. And it's not about getting connected with one person. It's about getting connected in a group. Whether, and when I say it's about being in a deeper relationships where there's trust and safety and vulnerability, it's kind of like this small group
Like
here.
friends, family.
Friends and family where
Cousins.
you... Do what?
Cousins.
And cousins, friends, family, cousins. It's about where there's trust and there's safety and there's vulnerability. Like, who would you go to if somebody had hurt you and you needed to talk about it?
Family or friends.
Do what?
Family or friends.
Family and friends. A lot of times you girls might go to your mom or your grandmother. You might go to each other because your cousins are good friends and you talk about it. When you go to somebody, you need to make sure that they've got your best interest in heart. Have you ever seen somebody give, maybe somebody at school give somebody else bad advice that's going to get them in trouble, and that person thinks they're their friend?
Yep.
Okay? You need to make sure that there's a good level of trust and that person has your best interest in heart. Are you part of a local church or Bible study group?
Yes.
Okay. part of a sports team, and you girls are kind of part of a sports team with the horses because y'all kind of like to make a team up and
Yeah.
go down. And I will say, I have been very pleased that you girls are very encouraging to each other and to other kids. If I saw you being mean to other kids, we'd stop. Because those ribbons don't mean that much. Those ribbons are just something that's a lot of fun. The most important things, and I've seen both of you two give other kids your ribbons when you felt like that would help encourage them. That's what about getting grouped is about. The third thing is to get goal oriented. Have you ever heard somebody say, "What's your goal?"
Yeah.
Does your teacher at school ever put a goal or an objective, a goal or objective on the board?
Yeah.
And usually when they do that, you kind of know that's what you're going to study or what the teacher wants you to learn for that day.
My language arts teacher gives us papers, and she tells us to write our goal for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's like academics or like sports, it doesn't really matter as long as it's a meaningful goal. And then we have to keep up with it all week to see if we've actually done it.
To see if you've done it. Well, successful people know that goals move them. They move them towards something they want to accomplish. Like, past several years, my goal has been to read the Bible through within a year. That's been my goal. And knowing that that's my goal, I know that I got to read so much every day to get to that goal. Or if I miss a day, I got to read twice as much the next day. You girls, I've seen you set goals with the horses. Well, I'm going to challenge you to set a goal about when you start dating. And what I would do is I'd make a list of what that person would look like. And you got to have some absolutes. What's an absolute?
They have to be a Christian.
Okay, that would be an absolute. And an absolute is something that you can't give on. It has to be. You can't say, well, maybe they'll get saved. Like for me, that would be one. Another one might be, I don't want anybody into drugs. So that would be an absolute. And I can't say, well, it's just marijuana. I can't make any excuses for it. Okay? So when you set these goals towards what this person's going to look like, you need to write it down so that when you meet somebody, you need to go through that and say, whoa, this person's not on my list. And as good as that person may seem, if you wait and let God choose the right person, it's going to be 10 times better. 10 times better. Maybe even more than that. Goals make the difference between reaching forward with a purpose or spinning in a meaningless circle. So if you compromise on those goals, you might end up spinning in a circle. You might end up divorced. You might end up in a bad relationship. So you want to make sure you're goal oriented. Do these two guys look like they have a goal?
Yes.
Do they look like they're determined to reach it?
Yes.
They don't look like they're going to back down, do they? Okay. Meaningless circle in a relationship might be where you're having the same argument over and over. I told you I would quit smoking marijuana, but you haven't. You've said that 10 times. That might be a meaningless circle, mightn't it?
Yeah.
Your cousin had a conversation with a young man she was dating, and she said, you say you're a Christian, but I don't see evidence. And he said, I'll work on it. She said, you don't work on it for me. You work on it for you.
Wait, who?
I'll tell you later. Get giving. Giving is about meeting the practical needs of others. Now, I'm going to go back to when you girls handed your ribbons off. You were looking at it that those girls... Well, you tell me how you were looking at it when you gave them a ribbon.
They worked just as hard and they deserve one too.
They worked just as hard. Okay, Caitlin?
Maybe if they saw that if we see how good of a job they're doing, that it would make them work harder.
Make that good. Those are both really good reasons. When you are in a friendship or a relationship, and first, if you're dating, you want that person to be a friend.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what you can give to this friendship, not just what you can get. Have you ever seen kids who are demanding from they supposedly are boyfriend, girlfriend, and one of them is always demanding something?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a one-sided relationship, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to think,
What does that person, the other person that's not doing the demanding, what do they normally do?
Give.
they get frustrated.
They just shut down, quit reacting, don't they?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So think about the Grinch. Do y'all know who the Grinch is?
Yeah.
Okay, he's this
It's
green guy.
not Peppa.
It's the green guy who was full of anger and jealousy and envy. When did he start to change?
And they started giving to him even though he'd done bad things.
But he was still a little sour on that. When did...
people started accepting him to even...
All right, think about he had taken everything they had and he had left.
Oh, it's when they still did.
They were still happy and joyful even though they had nothing. What did he do?
He stole the Christmas tree.
After he saw them joyful and happy, what did he do?
He
was really confused.
He was confused. And then what did he do with all their stuff?
gave it back.
He gave it back. When he started giving, his heart grew 3 times in size. And when he started giving, instead of just take, that's when he found friendship and love and understanding. And he learned it was more of what meeting the others' needs. And did they hold it against him?
Mm-mm.
No, they forgave him, didn't they? So that's when his heart grew 3 times. Then, Miss Tootsie's here, Bill. Get growing. If you're not growing, expanding, or improving, you are stagnant. Do you know what stagnant means?
They're just staying the same.
You're staying the same or going... What if I think about the swimming pool when we weren't running the water through it?
It was nasty.
Okay, but did it start out nasty?
No.
Then
It
each
just got
day
worse.
it got worse and worse and worse, didn't it? Okay. So how do you grow? Do you know how to grow? You ask yourself, what do I have a passion for? What do I want to do? And what if I fail? What if you fail?
You keep trying?
Have you ever failed at riding them horses?
Yes.
So did you just quit?
No.
What'd you do?
Got back on.
You got back on. You kept trying. And you're becoming successful. And successful people, you want others to succeed. And when I see you girls sitting down there yelling for other people to go faster and you got this, are you sitting there thinking, I hope they fall off?
Mm-mm.
No.
I hope they have a bad run.
No. We
No.
want them to do good too.
Whether you get that, you're in the ribbons or not, you're encouraging other people. So what are the commandments of the consequences of breaking this commandment? Well, boredom. She looked bored.
Yes.
She looked lonely.
Yeah.
Self-centered. worried and hopeless. You want to look like either one of them people?
No.
Okay. So what's the benefits of keeping this commandment?
Being successful.
Well,
I
hey,
like that.
you like that? Da 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 da. Here we go. You become attractive to others because you exude confidence. What does that mean? People look at you and say, wow, that person's got it going on. Have you ever seen anybody at school that you think, man, they've got it all going on. Everything's going for them?
Yeah.
Do they walk around pitying themselves?
No.
No, they walk around like, I got this. Don't they?
Yeah.
When I see you ride, it's, I got this. Now when I see you ride, it's, I got this. When you first started riding, you were a little unsure. Okay. Lady didn't think she could move from Dillon to Dublin. Now she's over on Dublin. She's like, I got this. I got Dublin. All right. They're stable and they have a passion for living. What does that young lady look like she's doing?
She's helping them.
Yeah, it looks like she's on a mission trip and she feels good about herself. She wants to help others. What's this person saying?
She graduated.
I got this. I made
I
it.
did it.
I got my goal. I wanted to graduate. And you know,
And she's calling her mom to tell her mom.
she is, I have got this. I got my diploma. And that could be some of you. There are some people whose parents have never graduated from high school. So that could be a kid who maybe is the first one in their family to graduate from high school. It also could be a kid to graduate from college and their parents didn't. So it's a kid, or maybe it's just a kid whose parents did and everything, but they're like, I never thought I could do this. And they're like, I got this, I did it. And what about this one?
They're helping her.
Yeah, she fell over. So they're not walking by and saying, boy, that lady fell down. What are they doing?
Helping her up.
They're helping her up.
Making sure she's not hurt.
So, can y'all tell me what it means to get a life?
Not being attached, not needing anybody.
Yeah.
And being right with God.
And being right with God. I'll tell you what Papa Ken always told me. And I was about your age. We'd be riding horses. And he'd say, get your education. Be able to support yourself. So you don't ever have to depend on anybody. Have you ever met somebody who feels like they have to be with that other person because they can't support themselves? Yeah. That's miserable for that person. They're not there out of choice. They're there because they feel like they have to be there. Because they can't make it on their own. Do you think a relationship is better if both people are there by choice? Or that one of them feels like they have to depend on the other?
Choice.
By choice, yeah. You want to be there by choice. Well, the next one that we're going to go over next week will be Thou Shalt Use Your Brain. That one ought to be pretty good too, you think?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go from brainless to using our brain. Have you ever been called brainless?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't imagine that. All right. Somebody want to close us in prayer?